Oh, yeah. Get that ASMR in.
Oh, yeah.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hi.
Oh,
Oh, I let him down. He set me up, and I just
man.
I took the ball and I threw it on the ground. I was like, nope, not today.
Yep.
no ball today.
No ball.
No.
So,
So,
yesterday's Enterprise.
yesterday's Enterprise. I'm Noah.
I'm Ryan.
Oh, and I'm Curtis.
Welcome to episode 8? 9?
9.
Nueve.
Yeah.
I'll find some other language.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so much for my...
Yeah. What is Huttese for 9?
Oh, no.
Oh, well, or Klingon. Maybe I should go Klingon.
Klingon.
Be appropriate for this one.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Suppose. Alrighty.
So we watched yesterday's Enterprise,
Yes.
season 3 of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
For the first time ever now.
Yes. No.
I remember watching this episode when we were pretty young.
I don't.
Yeah.
So as it happened, we hadn't decided on what to watch last night at 11:30. So I was like, let's watch yesterday's Enterprise. We know a lot about it. We've all seen it a number of times. So it'll be more of just a refresher, and then we can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, forethought and planning to this whole thing. That'd be
Yes.
ridiculous.
Well,
Well, what?
I did plan a little.
Yeah, in the 30 minutes he had.
Yes.
Very good.
Quickly scribbled stuff down. Not much at all. Just that it was directed by David Carson. The story was by Trent Christopher.
There was a
Ganino
wall
and
of
Eric's-
writers.
Yeah, there are so many writers.
For this episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the entire screen has writers across and then another half screen of writers
Yeah.
after the main credits.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's
the-
kind of crazy.
When I was looking it up, they said that the main. I'm guessing like all of those writers, like all had something to do with it, but I was like trying to dig as far in like who was really in charge of writing the episode. It sent Trent Christopher Janino and Eric A. Stillwell. Who knows? It was probably more of a collaboration, but I was just like, I wanted to see how far. But it was
Weird.
yeah.
It's crazy that many writers worked on it and it still turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah. Well, it originally aired back in February, on February 19th, 1990. Has a very good IMDb score, 9.2 out of 10.
That's pretty close to 10.
Yes.
Wow.
And there are some excellent reviews that I found.
Okay.
Yeah. Every single one is essentially saying it's like the best TNG episode ever, which
It's my favorite. I won't say it's the best.
it's up there.
It's really good.
It's done well for itself.
I would say there's other iconic episodes like Darmok, which is kind of the quintessential TNG episode, and it's also done really well.
Darmok.
And Jalad at Tanagra.
not the Robin Hood episode.
No. No. No.
Yikes.
No.
That's a Q episode, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's probably why I remember it.
I am not a merry man.
I am not a merry man. Jordy's got his little ukulele, and I think Worf takes it and smashes it. Gets the tree.
like play it at one point.
He's trying to. That's why Worf takes it and smashes it. He was doing badly or something. It annoyed him.
Oh man.
And he's like, sorry.
Worf,
you
Worf opens up the episode.
Yes, he does.
This is an iconic episode for a particular reason. The introduction of prune juice.
A warrior's drink.
A warrior's drink. As soon as he drinks it, one sip. A warrior's drink.
That's good.
Cause
I mean,
he-
it recurs in a lot of DS9. At least
Yeah.
one DS9 that we just watched.
Well, I mean, it comes up regularly that he drinks prune juice.
Yeah.
Season 4 with Jem'Hadar that we just reviewed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause he was talking about it. I don't know.
I mean,
don't really remember.
trying to think about this in all that context, it's like, so then the Kidmer Accords were signed in this alternate timeline, because that still would have happened, because that's the end of the Enterprise A. This is the Enterprise C years later, right? So then the Narendra 3 thing would just be like a tipping point to the Klingons saying, screw these Federation guys.
Maybe.
I suppose. Because they say in the episode that they were looking to sign a peace treaty with the Klingons.
Right. Which would make you think the Kidmer Accords, but that had already happened.
Oh, I mean, Kidmer Accords could have gone wrong.
Right.
Could have happened in between
I
that.
suppose.
I'm gonna guess there was just already tension.
Right.
It was
and that's what I'm saying. Like, the Kidmer Accords would have been in place, but maybe the formal alliance still would have been iffy. Because the Kidmer Accords basically just ended formal war, right?
something. It was like the stepping stone to greater peace.
Right.
I'm guessing there was still strained tensions.
Sure.
You vouched.
Speaking of the undiscovered country and the original series cast, this is the episode that Star Trek Generations wishes it was. Quite
Yes.
literally.
Yeah.
Scored by the same person, Dennis McCarthy. Directed by the same guy. What's his name?
Yep.
Same coolant leak.
Same coolant leak.
Yeah.
Battle with Klingon.
Battle with the Klingon bird of prey at the end.
Rolling underneath the closing door.
Time travel nonsense with a past Enterprise captain.
Yeah.
The only problem is this episode is really good and Generations sucks.
They might not have made it to... Well, yeah, they had the best of both worlds coming up. In theory. Down the pipeline.
Oh, the
That
end
was
of
a good
season
episode.
3, right. Yeah.
But yeah,
That was another backup if we didn't think of anything to watch. Unrelated.
Nice.
Just a small list of episodes where I'm like, we could talk about this for days.
Yeah. So it's at this point that the Enterprise C begins to emerge out of this rift.
Right.
And
That's changing the timeline.
Mm-hmm. And they were all really confused. How could a Federation starship come all the way out here? How could the Enterprise C have been adrift for 20 years to make it all the way over here? So a lot of speculation. And then they eventually... Is it Data's conclusion?
Probably.
That it had
There's a
gone through
temporal
time?
rift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave's a smart guy.
Yeah. Pretty smart.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
They go over the ship,
Mm-hmm.
Right, after
digging around. It's just like Generations, digging around.
digging around
Yeah.
old ship.
yeah.
And
And of course, it was the Romulans.
the Romulans.
Picard is like very tentative about sending people to the ship to
Yes.
begin with. I remember that.
Well, he doesn't. He knows. He recognizes that this is potentially very damaging to the timeline, depending on how things go. So he's like, "Don't tell them where or when they are. Just
Handle this one problem at a time.
right, slowly."
Yep. So they
They
get
go to
there.
that nice redress of the battle bridge.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
With the old.
Right. They
Control
pulled out all
panels.
those old panels from the motion picture movies,
Mm-hmm.
and they grabbed all those uniforms from the motion picture movies. Dressed up a bunch of extras.
So I was watching it pretty intently because I noticed that the lieutenant, what's his name again?
Castile
Castile.
or something.
He doesn't have his badge for most of the
right.
episode until the end, when he does actually have to he has to like contact somebody from engineering, and he does that, but it's with an older.
That was the Enterprise C
yeah.
was shortly before.
And that's kind of what I assumed, because I remembered how in all the movies they were all like shiny solid gold,
Right.
and these they were gold on the outsides, and then it was like that kind of darker kind of maroon
Okay.
on the Federation symbol.
Oh.
So I was thinking like, oh, that must have been there.
Yes.
They must have
Unlike
worked it
Captain
around.
Sisko's.
Yeah.
Cisco to Defiant. Is that the
Yeah,
communicator?
those
Yep.
insignias were sewn.
Sewn on,
Yeah.
yes.
Not to do anything.
By the ship's stores. Before replicators.
Oh man. Yeah. So they dig out Castile. They're
Captain Garrett is
Mhm.
alive.
transported
the
her
moment.
to Enterprise D, and she's all confused because she hears them say Enterprise, and she's like, "What? Enterprise?"
You know, she looked pretty banged up. She might have thought she'd been hearing things.
Maybe.
Internal bleeding and all that.
Mm.
I don't know.
But then we get a progress report from Riker. He's Skyping with Picard.
Right.
Ashamed to scrapper.
Could certainly use another starship. Yeah. Geordi's working on engineering level 3. He calls it out specifically.
Oh.
To stabilize the main power grid, Curtis.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's important.
Okay.
I wish there were more episodes with the Enterprise C.
It's the only one.
Yeah, I mean,
We saw so little. Of course, nowadays they'd redesign the whole,
they would have followed the battle bridge
Yeah.
design. They'd,
It's a nice design.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Tough little ship. Little.
It's a good ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens next?
What does
Captain
that
Garrett wakes up.
All right.
And she's-
Picard tells her, "You're in the 24th century," or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been 22 years. or
Right. That's
whatever.
it.
And at some point in there, Guinan, has her realization.
I thought that was
of-
after he talked to Garrett.
Probably.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. She's looking around and she's like, "This isn't right," and then she goes talk to the captain.
Right.
Okay.
So with the non-bar 10 forward, it's just got like the registry number and a logo on the back instead of a bar
I feel like that's like the brightest room
in the entire ship.
in the whole ship right now, except for the hallways.
Oh, yeah,
That's like the
hallways are
brightest
still-
room.
Yeah.
So
The bridge, no.
No.
The briefing room, no. Picard's ready room, no. Where everyone hangs out. Yes. Not where you need to see what you're pressing.
That one.
Self-destruct sequence initiated. Oh no.
destruct sequence 1A, 2B, 3. Thanks a lot to K.
Now everybody knows.
So yeah, he tells Garrett, you come forward 22 years. We're in war with the Klingons. History has no record of your battle with the Romulans at Narendra 3.
Yeah. And that's because of the time displacement,
Right.
whatever thing. So
They were yoinked out of that battle.
yeah.
Yoinked. Hey, it's like that one episode of Rebels and Ahsoka.
Yep. Just yoinked right.
Right,
out of
but
the-
Ahsoka doesn't go back and die to Darth Vader at the end of that.
Oh, but she does go back.
Yeah, she does go back.
Does she?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't remember.
Yeah.
I only watched Rebels once.
Yeah. She gets yoinked, and
When does she go back? Like, when she
Like-
goes back, is that right after, or is it...
right after the battle. that
Right, so
she
Vader
has.
had left.
He was just leaving.
Right.
Yeah.
The Enterprise C goes back, and she's
I
right
know,
in the middle
yeah.
of the fight.
Right.
It is what it is. Is it at this point where Guinan tells Picard that she thinks Enterprise C needs to go back?
Yes.
Okay. Just based on intuition.
Right.
Right.
And so there are a lot of talks about that.
Well, that comes later.
Yeah. And is this when they call everybody to the briefing room?
No, well, I love it when she's like, there should be children on here. Children on the Enterprise? Guinan, we're at war.
Yes, Picard.
What are you talking about? Picard loves kids.
Yeah, just look at all those episodes where he's loving kids.
He kept that sign for a reason, Noah.
That's not Picard, and you know it, because Picard wouldn't have kept that fucking sign.
He kept the sign.
That sign wouldn't have survived Star Trek Generations.
He beamed it back with
From where?
Scotty's transwarp
What?
thing way before the Generations happened.
Yep. To that storage locker.
Yeah.
What?
It's like, oh, I should keep this in my locker. Maybe just beam it back.
Maybe with a clay bust of his head, too.
Yeah.
The clay bust won.
Yeah. You had to remember
Apparently it had orange skin.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, getting off track.
Something happens.
Yeah, something happens.
Is this just when the Klingon ship attacks, or
No.
no?
You know what they
Maybe.
they could have made Worf the captain of the ship that was attacking. That would have been maybe too, I don't know, too much coincidence. But
Yeah.
So when I was looking at reviews, every other review said that it would have been so great if they just had Worf as the captain hailing them at the end of the episode, telling them to surrender.
I
but
think there's a poeticism about the Klingons being these faceless enemy, and then seeing Worf on the bridge at the end.
I bet they talked about that when they wrote the episode.
Maybe. I don't
Probably one of the 32 rewrites they had.
know. Worf's the captain. No, Worf's not the captain. Quick, submit the script.
Shoom.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they're doing more repairs to the Enterprise C,
right.
and
Then the Klingon ship decloaks and attacks them. Tasha Yar is on the other ship, along with all the repair crews.
yeah,
They take up stations, start fighting. One Klingon bird of prey.
Yep.
yeah.
Manages to blow a hole in the bridge or overload a bridge
Console.
circuit
You
board.
know, it's exploding consoles, man.
Yeah.
But before that, doesn't Captain Picard have a discussion with Captain Garrett about apparently Starfleet Command has already made predictions that in 6 months the war is going to end and the Federation is going to have to surrender.
Mm-hmm.
So
War's going badly.
So there's no hope apparently.
Dark Trek.
Dark Trek.
What?
Good, very good Dark Trek.
What are you talking about? Explain it to me, Ryan.
How?
It's dark. It's literally.
Literally Dark Trek.
Okay.
It's so dark on that bridge, Noah.
And they're all gonna die.
Yes.
That's what they're...
So dark.
But they don't die.
It's like the DC universe.
Yes, very dark.
Isn't that what...
The DC film universe, I
What?
think.
Isn't that what... Oh, why isn't my mic's been doing this? I just don't understand.
Uh-oh.
I
Don't know.
So how much of this have we lost? This might still be very usable
Very.
We'll
very.
see.
Very.
as
Very.
it continues
Very.
to test.
Very.
So they have the discussion that Federation is probably going to lose this war.
Right. They're talking about surrendering.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yes. And
Good
Then
pep
fight.
talk. She's inspired to go back.
Yep.
Save the Federation.
All right.
if there's no future, then we may as well and have ours.
20
in one
years
blaze of
ago,
glory.
one ship
Yeah.
might have made all the difference.
Yes. Yes, the
Was
here
that-
and now doesn't matter.
Was that after the second discussion with Guinan,
It might have
where
been.
Picard gives a rousing "not good enough"? Damn it, not good enough.
I think so.
Okay, because that's a great scene.
Yeah. Not good enough.
Who's to say that this timeline is any less proper than the other?
Yes.
Suppose I am not good enough.
Huh.
Huh? Huh? Curtis had a thought.
No,
Elaborate.
No, it's just a good bit of acting on Whoopi Goldberg's part through that whole thing.
Hmm.
And Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart.
I guess you wouldn't expect any less.
Sure.
Hey, he committed to some of those Klingon lines, and it's just like, "Gurglak, we shota." It's just, he's fully committed to the role because that's the kind of actor he is. But it just sounds. I think others. I heard this somewhere else that he's committed to just. Someone fell asleep on the keyboard, let it run, and he's still just going with it.
Of course. Okay, so then the first bird of prey comes through, whatever.
Captain Garrett dies.
Yep.
Got a big old chunk of metal stuck in her head.
Yep. Those
So that probably
stupid
dislodged from
consoles.
the ceiling.
Uh-huh.
There was things already falling over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Rather than a console exploding.
I don't know.
Or maybe a console did explode. I don't know.
I don't.
She's dead, Jim.
Dead. As a doornail.
And
Were doornails alive?
No, that's from Christmas Carol. It says, dead as a doornail. Not that a doornail could be dead. It's literally a part of the story. I have it
remember
read
this.
by Patrick Stewart.
You
The
gave
whole-
it to me. I listened to it once.
Yeah.
Driving back to college during Christmas break.
Nice. Good audio book or
Yeah.
whatever you call it.
It works in perfectly with this commentary because it also has Patrick Stewart,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think.
It does, yeah. It does.
Well, I know it does. I just don't know if that actually works in or not.
Oh,
It's
I
just
see.
completely unrelated. As we tend to do.
Yeah.
Mm.
So Lieutenant Castile is the only.
Bridge officer left.
Yeah. So he's like.
He'll take command and he'll go back.
He talks about how a majority of the crew already wanted to go back anyways, and unless he's ordered not to by Picard. So Picard had the final say. So he turns to him and he's like, "Yeah, that's
Best of luck.
best of luck."
Don't die. I mean, do die. Just hold out as long as you can
Yeah.
until you die.
Yes.
Yeah.
Die honorably. And then
I mean, really, it didn't matter if they died honorably or not. The Klingons just needed to find the wreckage of a Federation ship that had defended the colony
yeah.
for them to say, "Oh, these Federation types, they're honorable warriors."
Mm.
So they end this little briefing, and I think it's this point where Geordi's talking about how it's like we might be dead in this alternate time.
Who knows if we're dead or alive?
And
Because
Natasha.
yeah,
Whoa,
Right, 'cause-
dramatic.
Guinan had been given here the weird look the whole episode.
yeah.
Isn't that what she does to Q?
Oh, right.
They did not need to do that.
Curtis, do you remember the season 1 episodes with the pixie sticks that were used to clap?
What?
Yeah.
I haven't watched
In the episode
season
with
one in a
the
while.
all black planet. It's terrible.
The all black planet?
Yes, the planet made up entirely of black people. Curtis, there's a season 1 episode with a planet entirely made up of black people.
Mm.
It was probably a leftover from the original series.
So they have.
Yes, the climax of the episode, Tasha Yar has to face down the wife of the leader of the planet in the weird swingy things that they had like gauntlets on their arms and they swung
right.
around the poles and swung at each other.
Yes, I do remember that thing.
And all the people in attendance had little pixie sticks that they went to
Clap?
clap, essentially.
Oh. Huh.
That's something.
That's weird.
It's horrible. Don't watch it. You want to watch it next week?
No.
Neither do I.
No, rather not. So this is where
Tasha Yar
Tasha
goes
Yar-
and talks to Guinan. She's
Yeah.
like, I don't get it. What's up? You're supposed to be dead. We aren't supposed to know each other.
yeah.
You
So,
died a pointless death.
very
Ooh.
specifically. She points out anyways, Guinan does. So then that's where Tasha gets her inspiration that I need to leave, and
Well, she was gonna be dead anyways.
Yeah.
Might as well die for something good.
Suppose you could theorize that because Tasha's death was in part because of Q, that's why maybe she
still existed?
she doesn't like the Q continuum, and she's aware of the Q continuum. It
Huh?
must be how she knows that she died that way. Because Guinan wasn't on the ship when Tasha died.
Right, but that's not important because
I know.
Guinan has the intuition of
Right.
this person died. We weren't supposed to know each other.
Right. I
Since
was
they
just
weren't on
thinking,
the-
I was trying to rationalize how she would know that it was an empty death,
That's what she felt
I guess.
through her space magic.
well, doesn't Data say something about to that intent where it's like, who knows, maybe her species
Has perception
Yeah, has a
beyond
perception
linear
beyond-
time or
yeah.
whatever.
Mm.
And then Captain's like, there's many
lots of
things that we may not ever understand about her species, so it's
Maybe we'll learn in Star Trek Generations.
we already knew that she could live for a very long time because there was
Right.
that flashback or that time travel episode when
Time's Arrow.
yeah,
Curtis really likes Time's Arrow.
It's a good one. I don't understand. So Guinan left at some point after that, and then became a refugee. In Kirk's time, I'm trying to figure out the
you're trying to
timeline
rationalize
of.
that.
Yeah,
I
it doesn't.
was a bit confused because
Yeah.
it seemed like she was a refugee in Time's Arrow. Now I see where you were like, but then she goes and helps her people, maybe?
I
Maybe.
don't know.
Or she's not a refugee in Time's Arrow. She was just visiting Earth.
Ah, she's just
And
hanging
then-
out.
Yeah. Because she
Could be.
said something like, "Did your father send you to Data when he comes to talk to her the first time?"
Oh, did she?
I think so. Something to that effect. It's like, did someone send you?
Hmm.
So their society hadn't been blown up yet.
Okay.
Blown up by the Borg.
Right. The Borg.
I think that's how that goes. I don't. She
Yep.
talks about it. at some point.
Definitely the Borg.
Definitely the Borg.
Weren't all the Borg in the Delta Quadrant at that time?
We don't talk about things that Voyager has made very confusing. Thanks, Voyager.
Oh,
Also, First Contact didn't help much either.
yeah. But that's such a good movie.
It's
I like
kind of
Wrath of
dark.
Khan.
It's kind of dark.
It's very dark.
Dark Trek.
I like
dark
Wrath of
track.
Khan.
It's also a little dark.
Yeah. It's ear things. It's kind of dark.
Yeah. Spock dies. It's very dark. We didn't even have the hope at the end of the movie that he might come back.
Remember, that's in that movie.
Yeah. But who knew what that meant?
Yeah. You didn't know what that meant at the time.
Yeah.
That meant
that
they
was-
gave him an in to come
Wasn't that
back
like
in
a
Star Trek 3.
throw- I thought didn't Leonard Nimoy
That's
like talk
basically a
about it
pickup
that he
on
was like
set.
a-
Yeah.
Yeah, it was almost a throwaway line. It was like, say this, say something.
You need something to make it to indicate that you could come back
Yeah.
in some form. Remember,
Yeah.
gave him his Katra, but then he, whatever, not important. Nothing important.
Yep.
So Tasha Yar is eventually able to leave.
Transfers.
Mm-hmm. And she gets to her station and she's like, there's nobody else on board this ship that can handle tactical as well as me, which is probably pretty true.
Yeah, she has 20 years of advancements in tactics.
Yeah.
Yep.
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 Yes.
And the Klingons show up again.
Oh no.
Oh no.
3 ships.
3 ships.
Oh.
Let's make sure that history never forgets the name Enterprise. Picard out.
Mm-hmm.
They refer to them as warships or something.
Yeah.
3 something class warships, yeah.
They're
They
just
they look
birds
like
of prey.
birds of prey.
Maybe that's the Klingon designation for a bird of prey would be that kind of warship.
Maybe.
I think that's how it goes, actually.
They should have brought out the old models of the Fort. Well, not even the Vorcha, whatever.
I don't think the Vorcha had even been made yet.
No,
Hmm.
but the
Oh, the The D7s.
Yeah, the
K7?
D7.
No, K7 was the station.
Yeah.
In
I think it's a D7
yeah,
battle
It's D7.
cruiser.
No, Station K7 from Trouble with Tribbles
Right.
and Trials and Tribulations.
But
There's just too many sevens.
yeah, I think that the classification
No, you're right.
of the ship.
It's a D7.
Okay. Would have been great.
I'm mixing up my sevens, Curtis.
7 of 9.
Even more sevens. Oh no.
Oh, no. Anyway.
Who met him? Curzon? No. My host at the time was Ebony.
You just jumped into Trials and Tribulations.
Yeah.
I was on Earth at the time hosting a gymnastics competition.
All right, she's talking about McCoy.
He had the hands of a
Leonard
surgeon.
McCoy.
I don't know. My mind just had to jump there for some reason.
Okay, now I know.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to remember what she was saying about the Klingon that was there. That went up against Kirk. Because he comes back in DS9, right?
Yes, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Koloth.
That's it. Koloth.
I am Koloth, the Har Master. That doesn't answer my question. Yes, it does.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
It's a great episode. Blood Oath.
Anyway,
So
the battle.
the battle
Here come the Klingons.
takes the Enterprise C 10 years to get into that rift.
Uh,
So we could have a
Very
long,
slowly.
drawn out.
Slower than the Enterprise E and Nemesis. Inching towards... Oh, we're getting there.
I remember watching the behind the scenes for Nemesis, and it looked so fast when they
Oh, yeah. When
collided them, and then they slowed it down.
practical model.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
it's
the-
pretty
know that.
cool.
for the collision. It
Awesome.
was like just a section of each ship.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
That's
Wasn't
still
the
cool.
whole thing.
yeah, they shot it in super high frame rate slow motion.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
then
mean,
that's why
in
it looks
reality,
slow.
yeah, it was
Mhm.
just like
Yeah.
That probably would have looked better.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yes.
maybe. You got all that detail of the practical effect.
Practical
Good
effects.
stuff.
So the long drawn out battle, Enterprise C makes it to the rift, and then
Well, you glossed over the coolant leak.
All right, coolant leak and Riker
Riker
gets
dies
sprayed by another.
by rocks.
Yeah.
something.
They're clearly just like rock things. Man, these consoles are just loaded with a whole bunch of dangerous materials, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Picard jumps over.
Oh,
He
yeah,
does his little hop.
Well, he's on a platform,
Yeah,
so he
exactly.
can hop.
That's why. Okay,
Might be
So
why
I-
the platform was built.
I was wondering about that too, because I was like, he's not a really tall guy, Patrick Stewart. So
Right.
it's like, I don't know if he could have made that jump from
Way down.
from way
I mean,
down.
without the platform, you were really far down
Yeah.
in comparison. So
It's like, that's why they got to
why.
make Picard an action hero. Yeah.
That'll be the day.
Yes.
that'll be the day. Told to surrender. No.
Nope.
The alternate bridge has those two side computers that show up in Generations.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, those look better. I don't know why
Yeah.
they wouldn't.
Have additional stations.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Talk to Gene Roddenberry's ghost, Curtis. Get these questions answered.
Was it because they wanted more? They wanted to put the,
Spacious. Luxurious.
but they were also filming at 4:3, and sometimes they would put lights kind of closer in. So
Okay.
maybe that's why, just in case, like, I don't know.
Oh,
they
that
wanted
is-
to light up a
I
section.
really enjoyed the original 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yes.
1080p.
Actually, when there was the ready room scene or whatever, they're panning from every person's face or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, if they had decided to crop it and make it widescreen, that would have been really tough because all their faces filled up so much of the screen.
yeah.
You would have been like moving what you cropped up and down to make that work. That's all.
Okay.
Well, I recently saw a YouTube video, which I assume was just like some of the bonus features on the DVD sets, where it was like some of those scenes, some things with complex CGI, or not CGI, but like composite shots, they did film widescreen, and then they could just take that and roto 4:3 to make it look like they're panning in that screen, because they couldn't move the camera filming with a composite shot when it's complex and many layers and stuff like that.
Right.
So just random bonus trivia.
Yeah, the DVD I think has a commentary with this episode. I watched
the
it.
Blu-ray has 2 commentaries.
Oh,
One was done in 2008.
Ah.
Oh boy.
I forget who. It might have been Ira Steven Bear. Ira Steven Bear.
One of those commentaries has Seth MacFarlane
Interesting.
on the. Yeah, he's
That
just-
might have been the 08 one. I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah, it's so funny because he just talks about he had nothing to do with
Right.
the episode. He was just, oh yeah, I love this episode.
Sounds like Seth MacFarlane. Another key thing to note: Archer 4 is mentioned not once but twice.
Archer
10
4.
years before Captain Archer was in existence.
Wow.
Yep.
How did they know?
I think that's just random coincidence.
Yeah.
Or is it?
It's as close as Scott Bakula will be to canon, to some people's minds.
Admiral Archer's Beagle.
Yeah. Surprise beagle.
I don't know what they're talking about.
All right, so the timeline's reversed.
Right.
But
Pressy
this-
goes back.
But because of Tasha Yar leaving, this sets
Right.
up a larger arc within Star Trek with what's her name?
Sayla.
Sayla.
Because we eventually learned that this version of Tasha Yar did in fact survive the attack, which I don't really understand how.
They took prisoners.
I guess
They broke through the shields and beamed people over
Okay,
to interrogate,
they
I guess.
and
They never
one
noticed that
Romulan-
Tasha Yar had a special uniform.
Yeah,
Maybe they just thought she was important.
maybe
Yes.
She's like a super captain.
something. So then she has a Romulan daughter.
Half Romulan.
Yeah. And yeah. Final thoughts?
I wish I would have watched it with the audio commentary because I feel like there were very interesting little tidbits,
Same.
in the development and all that.
But last minute choice of episode leads to last minute decisions about watching it.
Yeah.
It happens.
It'll
It would have
happen.
been great if they would have saved this story for generations.
Yes,
Yeah.
it would have been.
Oh well, because they could have made the generations story an episode. They could have just switched them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, except for the Enterprise, barreling down. They didn't have a budget for that. Crashing.
Right.
But-
With all those, were those the original sets? Because in Generations, it's all got that horrible yellow lighting on every Enterprise D set.
Mm-hmm.
I think I read that, because it was a motion picture, there was a bigger budget for, the lighting and
Right.
all that stuff. And then the director, probably because he made the Yesterday's Enterprise episode, he was like, oh, I like those little side stations. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Brought that
they
stuff
added
back.
more production value to
yeah.
all the side panels and all that stuff. So.
And horrible yellow lighting. to
Wasn't the
every
horrible
single-
yellow lighting because they were near that sun?
But they're not near the sun on the bridge. There's no window.
No, but it was always just kind of darker. The only time I really remember the yellow lighting was when Counselor Troy is talking to Picard,
In his quarters?
I guess. And then also in 10 Forward.
Or that might have been his ready room. I don't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10 forward, it's very yellow.
Yeah.
Because of the sun. They were right next to the sun.
Well, that would make sense, but the bridge doesn't.
No.
You got me.
It's also kind of funny because their uniforms are all mismatched.
Doesn't Jonathan Frakes wear...
Like 3 different
Yeah.
uniforms in the same scene or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Well, he's wearing Benjamin Sisko's uniform at
Right.
the end of the movie when they're transported away. So I thought,
And I'm pretty sure that's just due to the fact that they didn't have like enough time to make enough uniforms, so they were just grabbing uniforms from DS9 and using them.
yeah,
Which originally the idea was the uniforms with the top color was you're stationed not on a Federation like installation.
yeah,
It's the original idea behind it. Because until DS9 gets the gray top uniforms, they do actually keep with that in the series.
mm-hmm.
Like they go back to Earth and everyone's got the old TNG uniforms.
Yeah.
Huh, I never
But Generations messes with this because everyone's got mismatched uniforms. Even
Yeah.
the same character in the same scene
Well,
or something like
probably because Jonathan Frakes is so much taller than everybody, and they're just like, we got to find one in his size, quick.
that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, we could talk about Star Trek Generations for a while.
Yeah.
that's a whole other discussion.
I mean, just the concept that they had where they were going to use the Yesterday's Enterprise story, but with the original series cast and then throw them to their deaths.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have
Been a shocker.
Anger,
Yeah,
protests. Maybe. I don't know.
Slightly before that, the rise of the internet and the outrage culture.
Right.
yeah.
You know, we still had a couple of years till 2004.
They would have had to explain. Spock would have had to have gotten away, though. 'Cause
Right,
He's still
yeah,
alive.
'cause he's
And
still
Bones.
alive.
They wouldn't have died. They would have been fine.
Yeah.
Would have been perfectly fine.
Except for William Shatner, they still would have killed him.
Probably. But then William Shatner would have written, 5 or 6 books about how he survived.
Survived.
Yeah,
Good books.
because of the Borg.
The Borg.
I vaguely remember that. I read the books. And he went to some planet where they were part Romulan Klingon hybrids or something on this weird like Eden world.
Oh, that's a separate story.
Oh.
I mean the second book is just about the Borg. I think were working with the Romulans for some weird. They had made some alliance because the Romulans had the technology to resurrect someone, but they didn't understand how to use it. So they made an alliance with the Borg, who assimilated it and made it work. I don't know. I'll have to reread the book.
Look what I've done to Curtis. I'm making him read.
And they talk about, I mean, the book is interesting. It talks about weird Borg spider droids or something, stuff that William Shatner and the Gars, Reeves, Stevenses were just making up because they could.
They could.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fun times. All right.
Yeah, that's very odd.
At Amory High.
Hey.
Alrighty. Thank you. If you have any other episodes that you'd like us to review and watch, let us know. Post it in the comments.
But next week we are talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Oh,
Last Jedi.
I can feel the anger.
You're just putting dark into random places now.
Dark Wars.
And subscribe.
What?